And welcome into another episode of Tiger Territory, part of the Foul Territory Network, a Detroit Tigers podcast. I'm Kieran Steckley. With me, as always, the man who sets off fireworks every time he hits. Submit. He is Cody Stavenhagen. How you doing?
Doing all right, Kieran. How are you? Holiday weekend. Happy 4th of July to everyone out there. Thanks for joining, taking a little time to listen to us talk about the Tigers, even though they're coming off a little bit of a rough series in our nation's capital.
Yes. Happy 4th of July. We are recording this Friday morning. I had some mechanics that we had to sort through on our end. Not that you guys care about that, but hopefully we can be a part of your holiday and your holiday weekend. Hope everybody stays safe out there. Tigers didn't necessarily have a great time in the nation's capital. It was kind of like a weird week to assess, Cody, because emotionally, the highs were really high because you had the Riley Green game. Spencer Torkelson had himself a nice little series, and you have obviously the All-Star, selections, starters, Baez, Green, and Torres. In case you guys didn't hear. So emotionally, you still really feel good. And of course, you're still 20 games above 500, have a comfortable lead in the division, blah, blah, blah. But then when you kind of get down into the swamp, I promise I'm going to try to cut down on these
You
DC
gotta
puns.
stop.
But
Stop.
but once you get down into the mud of things, different word, there were some instances that were not very pretty. And it was kind of it was a very uncharacteristic series for several players in a variety of ways, like overarching narrative. So, I mean, a 3-error fifth inning there on Thursday night, Cody, including 2 by Zach McKinstry and 1 by recently named All-Star starter Javi Baez. Tommy Kahnle just just serving up meatballs, for an inning there, and that kind of killed a lot of team momentum. Now, I'm not saying that's directly related to how they played on Thursday, but that's just how it played out when you're observing it. Is that you have the big win at the front end of the doubleheader, you have the late lead in the back end of the doubleheader, and you're thinking, okay, series, doubleheader sweep, Kahnle's coming on, Vest will be on, and bing, bang, boom, on to Cleveland in a way. And then you start out Thursday, just, the clock struck midnight a little bit on Dietrich, and it just kind of snowballed from there, even though it started out promising with a torque home run on Thursday. So, again, just baseball-wise, not really a pretty series, but it's still a happy week in a lot of ways because the emotional highs were high. Just trying to sort through that is quite a mental process.
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to be able to compartmentalize and separate them, right? Making the All-Star game is great, and hitting a bunch of homers the first game of the doubleheader is great. But then I think games 2 and 3 revealed kind of the persistent issue, the thing that I'm not trying to harp on the negative here, but look, man, this bullpen, it's hard to have a lot of confidence in it right now. I think the Tigers were 26th in bullpen ERA in the month of June, and they come out the gates in July. And one thing you really didn't want to see was a shaky performance from Tommy Kahnle, who, along with the Vest, had really been kind of year 2, and Chase Lee, maybe year 3 real dependable guys. Now, Kahnle, he's having a great season. He's probably due to just have an outing where things weren't good, but trainer comes out in the middle of the outing. It was hard to know exactly what was going on there live on the broadcast. I couldn't tell. Kahnle said afterward, oh, it was nothing. Yeah, they came out, and I was like, why are you out here? But then, coincidence or not, he went on to really have no command, had little feel for the changeup, and got hit around like we hadn't seen. Hopefully that's just a one-off thing from him. But then you get into, the Wednesday game or the Thursday game, and Dietrich Inns doesn't pitch well. And then you're behind the 8 ball, and then you're trotting out relievers. And then it's oh yeah, there's only a couple guys we're actually feeling good about right now. That leads to 2 thoughts for me. One is everyone wants to talk about the trade deadline. And yes, I think the Tigers are going to have to go get relief help, maybe 2 guys. But also, and something someone mentioned to me in the Q&A I did on The Athletic, and a thought I already had, like, can't you just hear Scott Harris coming out and saying, like, well, we think our biggest additions are going to be just internal improvement. Sounds like a Scott Harris line and might not be incorrect. You know what would really help this team? If Tyler Holton could get right. If Bo Brisky, who I don't think has been lighting the world on fire in AAA, can get back to being the Bo Brisky we saw in the second half and the postseason last year. If you can get one of your starters, a Jack Flaherty, to pitch like himself. We're going to talk about Reese Olson in a minute. He's back. I think that could be huge. But you have some guys who you felt confident in coming into the season who have underperformed a little bit. And if you can get them just back to like a base level performance, maybe that's as good, if not better, than going and getting, a Roldis Chapman or whoever it is you want to join this bullpen because it feels good and it feels sexy. So, like, yes, you got to add outside, but I think it's going to be, you're going to have some existing guys to improve. Otherwise, I do worry a little bit that this bullpen could be kind of that Achilles heel that it's like, they're 12 games, ahead of the second place team. Who cares? Whatever. And then all of a sudden they lose in October and you're like, why didn't we see this coming all along?
So, yeah, a couple things there. One, I'm glad you mentioned Chase Lee. I think I got to be better about kind of lumping him into that category of Canely Invest. The thing, Chase Lee, I want to say like came out of nowhere, but in a way kind of came out of nowhere in terms of like no one thought he was going to be this heavily involved coming into the season. I think there's a limit on the amount of Chase Lees that you can expect the internal additions to help you out. So, like, Scott Harris has kind of earned the right to say that, but it's also at the same time not necessarily it's not the greatest of bets, I would say. You just run out of those kinds of stories eventually. And then also one of the guys that you didn't mention there, Cody, and he's on his rehab assignment right now, and that's Alex Lang. There's an Alex Lane factor that we have yet to really see under like, quite frankly, on a winning Tigers team. I don't know what that be. That might be on the at the lower end of the bullpen when games are somewhat decided one way or another, or it might be somewhere in the middle, or he might turn into the Alex Lang that we've seen over the years, that like with the fastball curveball combination. Like, I don't know, but I'm saying there's a piece there that's going to be established in some fashion. In my opinion, once again, it comes to mind. This is a time where you kind of miss a Foley. I know that he got set down for a reason, and he was obviously hurt. But that was a piece too that for a good stretch of the past 2 years you felt pretty okay about. You know what I mean? So, and that's the thing too. Like, you start looking down the list, and the arms available is actually quite smaller than you realize just kind of in the moment, I think. And especially arms that you trust. And then this series, not to, excuse poor play and, poor defense at times and the lack of hitting in other situations, but you had a bullpen day. I think we do got to give credit to Holton. He has now 5 straight innings of scoreless ball. So like maybe that's something that's kind of rectifying itself in real time. But you had a bullpen day, and then you threw Flaherty out there, which Flaherty had another, what is Jack Flaherty outing as well. And then you throw Dietrich for the rubber match. And like I said, he just, falling behind in counts. He's not talented enough to fall 2-0, 3-1 consistently against like high talent, high upside hitters that Washington has. And he got burned like quickly. 5 runs in the first. That's about as quickly as you can get burned. To his credit, he gutted it out a little bit to save the bullpen tax a little bit there. But yeah, I mean, it's just like, that's the back end. That is the back end. Like, not to get lost and all this stuff, is the back end of your pitching in various situations. You only saw Vest just because well, he hadn't worked in a while, so we'll throw Vest out there. So like that's the scary part of the pitching situation. So you need arms, you need guys to correct themselves. I don't know what's easier, trading for somebody who's already in good form or hoping somebody regains good form. That might be the question of the trade deadline for Scott Harris and Chris Fetter and AJ Hinch as they kind of piece together this plan. So yeah. Now, I don't want to sound like overly concerned, but at the same time, these are things that we have seen consistently, and it doesn't matter if you're playing the Pirates, doesn't matter if you're playing the Rays or the Nationals. It's like if you don't have arms that you can trust, these guys are gonna hurt you. And like I said, we've seen multiple examples of that. And honestly, probably playing a doubleheader didn't necessarily help either. But
I'm concerned, Kieran. I'm concerned. Like, the Tigers are a really good team. I'm not trying to lose sight of that, but they do not have the pitching staff right now that's in shape to win a 7-game playoff series. And this is a team that was supposed to be built on the strength of its pitching. That's not like a criticism of anybody in particular. It's just reality. A combination of injuries and underperformance.
We thought they had too much at one point. We thought they had too much at one point. You bring in Andrew Chafin on a minor league deal, and you think, all right, well, this could turn into something. He never even gets to the big leagues, exercises his option. He's in Washington now. Had a really funny quote about being in AAA. God bless Andrew. And again, all these like other injuries and stuff, like there's no way in hell that we anticipated like the Tigers being desperate for pitching in early July. Like that would have been something like, yeah, you just add some arms or whatever. That like the usual thing come trade deadline time. Now it's like you start looking down the list. It's like, well, if this doesn't work, if this don't work, this don't work. I mean, are we just is Melton all of a sudden a guy that you're gonna have to trust in key situations? You know what I mean? Like this is the path that we're on. So like, yeah, concern 100% valid there. Because it is, I would say starting pitching, and we'll talk about starting pitching later. Starting pitching and bullpen, very top heavy, and you know, not every series is a 7-game series, but if you want to get to where you want to get to, you're gonna be involved in a couple 7-game series. So with that framework, I think it's important also to realize. So we'll talk. I mean, we're going to talk a lot of pitching, obviously, next week too, because of what the Tigers are putting out there in Cleveland. But now, Cody, we're going to do something a little bit new here. We are going to introduce a new segment. It is our chart topper player of the week. Our chart topper player of the week is powered by DraftKings Sportsbook. So, Cody, we have Spencer Torkelson as the graphic for this episode. We actually hadn't used Torkelson in a bit, and for like good reason. Like he did not have a good month of June, and it was, you know, the batting average is the easiest number to look at. It's like, yeah, you know, it's kind of that little 230. But I was never overly concerned about Torque because he was still taking his walks, his hard hit rate or his hard hit rate. I felt like he was taking good swings. He had a little bit of bad luck in there, and the home runs were enough to kind of keep him afloat production wise. But he opens up the month of July in a big way. This whole series in a big way with a couple of home runs and a double in there. So I think he's deserving of this. He is a guy that is still trusted by AJ in the middle of that order. And we talked about his defense before. He recently has made a couple of really nice defensive plays as well, even though he still grades out negatively. But I think Torkelson is a good guy for this right now, Cody, as somebody who has ridden like a really high and then like came down. But we've seen early returns that it's not a plummet. It is, you know, it's a little bit of a steady way with still high upside.
Yeah, I'll go back to like what I've said before, which is, have you ever really thought Torkelson looked lost this year? And my answer to that question is no. Like, he's had multiple droughts and he's shown a knack for still having a good approach, still hitting some balls hard, finding ways to come out of that. right when it was starting to get like, okay, this drought's getting kind of prolonged here. Well, now he's 10 for his past 27. He has 3 homers in, I think, 5 games. He hit 207 in June, off to a hot start here in July. He's having a good year. It does, like, I got another question, like, what do you think the front office thinks of him long term now? And it's like,
tough.
Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of a tough question to really think of, because you're seeing a guy 30, 35 home run power, can hit in the middle of your order, driving 100 runs. But the more I say, like, that 2023 version of Torkelson, like, maybe that's kind of what he is, this in-between guy who's, like, got power, but not the average, maybe not quite the OBP that you really want. That's a player you can work with. Do not get me wrong at all. But in terms of, like, okay, do we feel good about Torkelson for the next 3 years now? Maybe that's a silly conversation, because you're kind of taking these things a month, a year, a game at a time, to begin with anyway. Like, I think Torkelson could have the worst second half on earth, and he's probably done enough to, like, he's got to be your first baseman next year. But I don't know that anyone's looking to hand out a contract extension either, and maybe that's okay. Maybe we just take this for what it is. Tork's having a good year, even with the lows. He's having good at bats. We know the power is there, and it is very real. Maybe we should just feel good about that for right now. Give him the praise he deserves, and we'll see what this looks like in 2 more years.
Yeah, I mean, he has been, in my opinion, like, he's been an additive. Now, of course, okay,
Yeah.
he's got nearly 20 home runs. That's such great analysis. But, like, again, like the approach, the at bats, taking his walks, making good contact, his calmness, I think, has also been an additive to this team as well. Because, I mean, we've talked about all the injuries. Like, it's been a thing in the lineup as well. And maybe even it's like base running. Like, I look at it's the funniest thing, Cody. He's got a sprint speed in the 29th percentile, but he's almost average in terms of fielding run, not fielding run, base running run value. So actually, no, he's higher than average. He's 68th percentile. So so what does that mean? That means, like, it's like we talked about with Torres. That means he's bought in. That means that he's running the bases smartly. Like that's not, I would wager that's probably on the top end of first baseman per base running run value in the American League. So, like, again, asset and the power in the middle of the lineup. He's not a platoon dependent player at all. And also, like, we're not going to talk about Colt Keith today. We probably haven't talked about Colt Keith enough, but, like, there's an element of, like, the way that Colt Keith is being used right now is partially a result of how you can keep a stable presence like Torque at first base /DH in your order. So, sure. Like, that's something that I think is also part of the Torque experience. And I think you're right. Just kind of take it for what it is. We're not going to analyze this. You need to get better at this, that, the other. But, like, the production is there. It's July 4th. The production's there, and he's gonna have his at least a second career 20 homer season. He might have a 30 homer season. You know what I mean? Twice in 4 years or whatever. It's like, in some ways it's not bad. In some ways, not bad. And so that brings us, Cody, to a special part of this segment with DraftKings Sportsbook. So Friday night, the Tigers are in Cleveland, and they are playing, going up against, I love this name. I believe it's his birth name too. Slade Cecconi. I want to make sure I get that right. Slade Cecconi. And he has pitched against the Tigers one time. That was back in late May. And Spencer Torkelson went yard. It's a solo shot. It's the only run that the Tigers scored in a 3-1 loss on a Friday night in those City Connect uniforms. And so I think, Cody, Spencer Torkelson is going to get at least 2 total bases. So, like I said, he had the home run against Slade last time. If you look at the matchup here, Slade is only in the 19th percentile in fastball run value. It's a lot of words there. Whereas Torque is done most of his damage, as good hitters are supposed to do, against the fastball, including 8 of his home runs. And if you look at where the metrics line up, barrel rate, he's Slade is near the bottom, whereas Torque is in the 90 percentile. And his secondary pitch is a slider, which is what Torque hit out last time. So and the miles per hour is right in Torque's wheelhouse for both pitches. So I like Spencer Torkelson to get 2+ total bases on Friday night. If you go to DraftKings Sportsbook, you can get that at a +145 odds, which, if you're unfamiliar with what that means if you bet $100, you win $145. So you can download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code FOUL. That is code FOUL for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Sounds good, Kieran. Look, I work for The Athletic, part of the New York Times company. I don't bet on baseball. I don't hand out gambling advice. But we just talked about all the factors involving Torkelson. He's on a roll his last 7 games. He's hitting 370 with a 1200 OPS. So certainly looking forward to see if he can keep that up in this Cleveland series.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
All right, coming back here, Cody. Who do you think leads the Tigers' starting pitchers in wins above replacement?
Tarek Skubal.
Oh, man, I made that too easy for you. Obviously. But
keep them coming. Keep the softballs coming. We'll do this all day.
But here's something interesting. Casey Mize is second at 1.5 games above wins above replacement, and Reese Olson, who presumably, it's not official yet, but presumably will be pitching on Friday, making his return, 1.2. So those are your top pitchers, period, in terms of WAR. And I think, like, as much as the Flaherty signing seemed like at the time, like an influx of pitching coming in, and and he's become sort of like the super varsity version of our old Matt Manning discussion. But I think right here in a division series, if you're looking to be optimistic here, in a division series, you're laying out your 3 best pitching options against Cleveland in a series that, again, it's only early July, but you could kind of metaphorically put them down a little bit if you command this series. Now, the backside is you can give them life. So, like, we understand all that. But here, I do believe, like, if you were wanted to line these guys up, these are the 3 guys you would want in a series against a team that kicked you out of the postseason last year. Like, these are the guys you want.
Sure. The Guardians have had kind of a rough go of things, big picture over the past couple weeks. So seems like an opportunity for the Tigers to rub it in a little bit. Reese Olson, we'll see. He had a lengthy rehab stint, so in theory he shouldn't be rusty. But this is his first time back in the big leagues. I'm a little worried about the rust factor. How long will he go? At the same time, I think his just him coming back to this pitching staff is huge. This is a guy who could be your number 2. I think Reese Olson at his best might be Casey Mize at his best is really good too. But in terms of like this kind of steadiness, like he might be your second best pitcher. Reese Olson in his major league career has a 3.60 ERA. That includes, sometimes his first year where he was getting knocked around a little bit. Really, since September of his rookie season, Reese Olson has been a really good starting pitcher. Unfortunately, he's had a couple kind of minor injuries mixed in there. But Reese Olson is the guy who can go out and give you a quality outing. He's something this rotation badly needs. I'm glad we're going to get to see him, 3 times through, maybe leading up to the trade deadline, because in a way, look, the more I think about it, I'm still like, I think the Tigers need to go get another starting pitcher, and maybe a good starting pitcher who can start a game for you in the playoffs. But you're going to feel a lot better about everything if Reese Olson can A, stay healthy, and B, pitch anything like himself.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's okay to periodically look at things from the scope of the postseason, like you did earlier in terms of a 7-game series. With the Tigers, what they're putting out there, obviously Skubal's your guy, and he proved he is a big time pitcher last year in the postseason. Now, like, not to be mistaken, dude, Reese Olson 2 earned runs in 9 innings of postseason ball last year, and that's with let me get this right, 8 strikeouts and 2 walks. So like this, like maybe proven is like too strong of a word because it is such a small sample size. But and one of them was weird because of the Holton opener experience there in game 1. So like, again, I'm not trying to overrate it, but the numbers are the numbers, and the situation was the situation. And like Casey Mize was left off. Like as of now, like this could be your 3. Like if Flaherty is still more or less a average pitcher, which at 0.1 WAR is like the definition of average, like this could be your 3 to begin the postseason. So again, it's okay to kind of start thinking in those terms. And I bring that up because I don't think like we haven't seen the best out of Reese Olson, and to see the best out of Reese Olson when you are down in Alex Cobb, when you're down at Jackson Joe, when Jack Flaherty is kind of fledging there a little bit. Maeda is no longer in the state. Like that list I said is actually kind of long when you start going through it. He could be a real stabilizer for you as well. So like I have high hopes for Reese Olson based on what I've seen from him over the past couple of years. So I don't think I'm overrating him, but I think his importance needs to be like understood.
For sure. The Flaherty thing you mentioned just made me think, Kieran. It's kind of funny to look back on the free agent acquisitions the Tigers made. Pretty boom or bust, right? Gleyber Torres, like A plus, right? Like A to A plus range. Alex Cobb, looking like a hard F right now. Tommy Kahnle, pretty close to an A plus. Jack Flaherty, I don't know what grade to put on that,
Incomplete.
I don't want to give that a failing grade, but then you're like, gosh, he's really only at 0.1 WAR. Like that's a lot of money for a replacement level pitcher. And a move I liked at the time, but that's not getting flying marks for sure. So yeah, what do you make of any of that? Like a couple really good moves and a couple moves that have not been so good.
Yeah, that's why armchair GMs never get fired, because they don't have to make these calls in real time, and you're never gonna bat 1,000.
John Brebbia, F,
yeah.
Manuel Margot, we'll go just incomplete there. Yeah.
Well, Zach McKinstry at his number is an A. We'll say that. I know it's not a free agent, addition. But
it took 3 years, but now it's an A.
Now it's an A. So yeah, gonna be a lot of fun. All right, we're gonna take a quick break, and then we're gonna end this episode with a little fun little gimmick that is very holiday appropriate. So first, a word from our sponsors.
Building a hair growth routine is easy, only if you go with Nutrafol. Why is that, Todd Father?
Nutrafol, you think about hair. For me, sometimes the hair gets thinning. This thing will thicken your hair up as much as you need. You think about going to weddings, you're going to the beach, you're just hanging out with friends, and you want to take photos. You want your hair to look good, and this is the best possibility for it.
Yeah, and thinning hair is different for men and women, so a one-size-fits-all approach to hair growth, that's not it, okay? They have multiple formulas for men and for women that are tailored to fit different stages of life, okay? So go check out Nutrafol. Building a hair growth routine can be easy, and you order online. There's no prescription needed as well. Free shipping, automated deliveries, and for a limited time, Nutrafol is offering the FT fam $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code FOUL, F-O-U-L. Find out why Nutrafol is the best-selling hair growth supplement brand at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code FOUL.
All right, coming back here. It's the 4th of July. Like I said, thank you for making us part of your holiday weekend. Hope you guys are out there having fun, staying safe. Anybody, I hope you guys are also fans of the hot dog eating contest. Joey Chestnut is back. We don't know what happens. Obviously, we're recording this before the hot dog eating contest, but it did make me think because the Tigers social media team, they do a pretty good job of like walking around with the microphone. And it's like, who would be the best at this? Who would be the best at that? Like a pretty good one was who would be the best, who would win a home run derby among all the pitchers, blah, blah, blah. So I thought that was pretty fun. Here's our version of that. I kind of want to know, Cody, who you think would win a hot dog eating contest on the among the Tigers players. So I have a couple theories. I have a couple guys that like I think that maybe a little bit of a wild card there. I'll start out with I don't think you can do any segment about who would be the best at X without leading with Tarek Skubal because he's so competitive that like he might just will his way to winning a hot dog eating contest. And I think Will Vest thinks he's the best at everything. That's what I've learned from these videos. So Will Vest would probably say yes, but I have a couple other names here, Cody, but who kind of comes to mind when I say who wins a hot dog eating contest?
Two names come to mind for me. One is Tommy Canley. Just kind of like seems like his vibe, something he would enjoy, put on a show for the crowd. How many hot dogs could he actually down? I don't know. I don't know much about his eating habits, but I just could see him thriving. And then, like, let's look at these guys. You know, Joey Chestnut, Kobayashi. They're not, you know, they don't have the build. Like, professional eaters aren't usually, like, huge guys. Like, they're slimmer guys, high metabolism. They train for this. I could see Parker Meadows, low-key, crushing everyone in the hot dog eating contest.
And I like that. I like that because I have another name along those same lines. But what about your boy Jake Rogers?
Seems kind of like his vibe too. With Jake, I love you, Jake, but I don't know. I just don't see you crushing like 60 hot dogs. I think you're too sensible. Actually, I think at a certain point, Jake would be like, "This is stupid, man. What am I doing?"
I love that. It's like I'm doubting you, but I'm doing it because I think you're quote too sensible to do
Which
that.
probably doesn't get said a lot about Jake Rogers in the Tigers clubhouse, but I
How about Wenzel Perez?
Ooh, that's a good sleeper.
Along the same lines of Parker, both still young, so they got the guts to be able to handle all of that, and he's a ball of energy as well. I could see him burning those calories, pretty quickly. And yeah, I like the Parker pick there. That's a little key sleeper. I can't really see Riley winning one. No. I think Riley has too much sense. That's a good way to phrase it. Maybe Sweeney is a little bit of a wild card. He's got that.
Gosh, yeah.
He's got that build. I feel like he could withstand the force on the body that is a hot dog eating contest. I also think Dingler would just decline. That's just my impression. I think he would just kind of like eat one and like enjoy it and be like, y'all have fun. I'm gonna enjoy the rest of my day without any Pepto-Bismol needed. So, all right. Well, I'd like to see what you guys think. Who do you guys think would win a hot dog eating contest? You can follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Cody Stavenhagen. I am at Kieran_Steckley. Pod page at Tiger Territory _ YouTube, Instagram, Apple, Spotify, wherever you guys get your podcasts. We appreciate all of you. Once again, happy 4th of July. Hope you guys have a happy and safe weekend. Thank you for making us part of your holiday. So for Cody Stavenhagen, I am Kieran Steckley. Everybody have a great day.